Good morning, kids. Good day to all of you. This is your mom, Shiny Grace. Welcome back to our mathematics class. So for this week, we will discuss about identifying parallel, intersecting, perpendicular lines. So we are now in our third quarter. So let's go over with the objectives of our lesson for this week. So for our lesson this week, you are going to describe and illustrate parallel, intersecting, and perpendicular lines. And you will be able also to draw perpendicular and parallel lines using a ruler and a set square. And now, let's have a drill. Name the following geometric figures. Okay, class, can you answer this? What is this? Can you guess? You're right. It is a point. How about this one? This is a ray. And this one? It is a line segment. And this one is what we call the line. Let's have a review. Let's have a game. What am I? I have an exact location in space. I am presented by a dot. What am I? Can you guess? Write your answer in your notebook or in your paper. Okay, it is the point. I have no endpoint and I can go on and on in opposite directions. What am I? It is a line. I start out at a point and can be extended in one direction. What am I? The answer is a ray. Next, I am a part of a line with two endpoints. What am I? It's called line segment. Very good, kid. That's great. Okay. Hey class, what can you see in the picture? Yes, you're right. There are students forming a line during their flag ceremony. Do you also do this? As you pay respect to our flag or to our national flag? Of course. So I would like you to answer, how should you form your lines during flag ceremony? How should we form the line during flag ceremony? Okay, should be straight. Grade level are separated from each other, right? Okay, just like what they are doing here. So in our Araling Panlipunan or in your Araling Panlipunan, it is discussed that when we are paying respect to our national flag, we should form a line and be quiet and stand still. You should always remember that. Very good, kids. Okay. Now, Let's have another game, forming lines. You may answer this on your paper. Okay, all those whose birth month is June will form two straight lines. You may answer this in your piece of paper. You can draw person forming two straight lines. Next, for letter B, all those who are wearing t-shirts will form two lines that meet at the center. For the last, all those whose birth month is March will form one line and another line for those who were born in August. Then form two lines that show square corners. So, are these the lines that you have formed during the game? Okay, if these are the lines that you have formed, you are right. For our first activity or for letter A, this is the line that you can form. Next, for letter B, this is the line also. And for letter C, this is the third line or figure that you can form. Okay, what can you say about the lines in the figure 1, figure 2, and figure 3? Okay, I know you have there in mind what you have to say about these figures or lines. So before we discuss those kinds of lines, we will have to perform a group activity. You may pick your own color in this slide and just draw it in your paper, okay? Or in your notebook. So any color will do. So the direction of this activity is that you will illustrate the assigned task. For group 1 or for orange group, you will illustrate a crossroads. For blue team, a time using hands of the clock. For green team, design of a ceiling. For red team, design of a t-shirt. And for violet team, window panes. So you may illustrate this in a piece of paper or in your notebook. Okay, class? Do you understand? Okay. So you may display your outputs and you may send it to our group chat. So with your answer, what kind of lines each figure shows? Can you determine what kinds of lines? Okay, we will see if you're correct. Okay, how did you find the activity? Is it fun? Did you enjoy growing? How were you able to illustrate the figure given to your group or to your team? Did you cooperate with your group mates? Very well. If you've done it right, then you are very good. Now, let's go to the discussion. Let us discuss those lines you have seen earlier. So we have different kinds of lines. We have the parallel lines, intersecting lines, and perpendicular lines. Now, let us discuss. First one is the parallel lines. These are the lines that do not meet. The distance between a pair of parallel lines is always the same. So our first activity earlier shows that figure 1 is an example of a parallel line. Can you still remember it? Okay. I will draw, but bear with me because it might not be so straight when I draw here using the mouse, okay? Okay. This one is an example of parallel lines. As long as the distance between the two lines is equal and parallel with each other, and they will not meet even though it will be extended there. Okay, do you understand, class? And there is also a horizontal parallel lines. Or for example, the parallel lines are vertical, right? This one is horizontal. We also have diagonal parallel lines like this. So those are just some examples of parallel lines. So again, parallel lines are lines that do not meet. And the distance between the pair of parallel lines is always the same or equal. Now we have here intersecting lines. These are the lines that cross each other. Okay, these are examples that form a cross like that. It forms letter X. You will remember letter X, okay? Mm, like that. So these figures here below are examples of intersecting lines. So during the first activity, the theme B or the figure 2 is an example also of an intersecting line or intersecting lines. And we have the last one, perpendicular lines. These are the lines that intersect and form square corners. If we say square corners, there is a 90 degrees angle that is formed when the two lines meet, like this. So when we measure it using the protractor, the angle that will form here will measure 90 degrees. That's why there is a square corner in between or at the center of the two lines. In here, like that. So once again, that is a perpendicular lines. When both straight, vertical, and horizontal lines meet at the center and form square, like letter T. You always remember these letters, letter T, like that. So you can form a square in between, square corners in between those two lines. Okay? So what are the three kinds of lines? Again, class, you have the parallel lines, intersecting lines, and perpendicular lines. Very good. Give yourself a clap. Now, let us proceed. So, as we identify the different kinds of lines, how will we be able to draw properly? And first, let's answer this question. When making borderline for your art activities, what measuring tool do you usually use? Why is it important to use certain measuring tools? Can you answer, class? So what are the common measuring tools that you are using when you are making a borderline for your art activities? I can still remember when I am in elementary during art class, we make a borderline in every art activities that we are doing. So I know you are also familiar with the measuring tool that we have to use. What is it? Okay, we use a ruler and a set square. So these are some that we can use to draw parallel lines and perpendicular lines as described below. So just like here, when we draw a straight line using a ruler, of course, you have to straighten the ruler. That's for the horizontal line. We can also use the set square or the triangle so that we can draw the vertical line, so that we have already two lines for us to make perpendicular lines. So these are some tips so that you can easily draw perpendicular lines and parallel lines and also intersecting lines. So while you are young, we have to use these tools, the ruler and set square, so that you can be familiar about it. And of course, it is very helpful when you have to use it later on during your industrial arts subject. Of course, you have to measure some wood, your materials, and then of course in your home economics, when you are about to use when you are about to measure some cloth or linens. Okay, so don't forget about the ruler and the set square. So we are done with our lesson. So I hope you understand the three types of lines and the tools that you have to use so that you can draw it properly. Now, let's have activities so that you will have to reinforce the concepts and skills that you have learned earlier. Okay, class. Answer this in your paper or in your notebook. For number one, what kind of line is this? Answer parallel lines, intersecting, or perpendicular lines below. Number one, what is that? For number two, again, what is that? Number three, That is our third figure, number 4 and number 5. So keep your answers to yourselves because we will check it after our class. Okay, let's get moving. Another exercise. Direction. Draw a star for parallel lines, a diamond for intersecting lines, and a square for perpendicular lines. Time starts now. Answer now. For number 1, what is that? Number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. Okay. Are you done, kids? Okay, we will check your answers later. Let's keep moving. Now, let's identify the different kinds of lines in the figure below. Let's answer and find. Number 1, your task is to give 2 pairs of parallel lines. As you can see here, point C, or the line C here, and the line DJ. What kind of line is that? So you will name the lines, okay? Like line AH and line FI. So you have to name like that. So you may refer also to your learning material or learner's material on page 157 to answer this activity. So second question is that you have to give 2 pairs of intersecting lines. And another one for the third activity, give a pair of perpendicular lines. So with this figure here, look for those pair of lines. Are you done, kids? Okay, we will check that later on. So, once again, kids, what are the 3 kinds of lines that we have discussed earlier? Okay, we have the parallel lines, intersecting lines, and perpendicular lines. Always remember that parallel lines are lines that do not meet. Intersecting lines are lines that cross each other. Perpendicular lines are lines that intersect and form square corners. Now, apply this to your situation. Tell the kind of lines referred to in each item. So, what kind of lines can you see in the capital letter H for number 1? Number 2, what kind of line for capital letter X? Number 3, checkered t-shirt. What can you see? Number 4, hands of the clock at 3:30. Number 5, corner of a blackboard. So in our daily lives, kids, wherever we could be, there are some lines that we can see. So in some activities or daily routines and activities that we do, lines is also included. So that's why you also have to remember, because there are some importance that you really have to know what kind of line that you should make. For example, in forming a house, you have to build a house with parallel what? parallel measurement so that it will be strong until you grow old. No? Hindi masisira yung bahay, no? Dahil nagawa siya ng mabuti. Yung mga measurement na naka-indicate or nakaplano ay tugma talaga sa kung ano dapat yung measurement na kailangan nyo. So, are you done answering this? Okay, very good class. Now, for your written work, I would like you to use a ruler and a set square and draw each pair of lines in a given statement. So first, line AB and line CD are parallel lines. So make or draw these kinds of line, okay? Using the given letters. Second, line EF and line GH are perpendicular lines. And the third is line IJ and line KL are intersecting lines. They intersect at point M. Very good, kids. So we are about to be done with our lesson for this week. The remaining activities that you will be doing will be reflected to your learning activity sheets or your module for this quarter 1, week 1. Okay? So if you want to answer more activities regarding parallel, intersecting, and perpendicular lines, you may answer this simple home activity. Draw a circle for a parallel lines, triangle for intersecting lines, and rectangle for perpendicular lines. Number 1, that is a figure. Number 2, we have this figure. Number 3, this is the figure that you have to refer to. Number 4, and number 5. So that's all, kids. You may replay this video, or you may play and pause it for a while when you want to understand more about our lesson and to review about the correct answers for your module and learning activity sheets. So that's all for today for our mathematics class for grade 4. That would be the end of our lesson. Thank you so much. This is your mom, Shiny Grace Duran. Bye-bye!